Welcome, 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 everybody. I am Jakiva Phillips, your host of ZSides, and as always, I am here to be your liaison to all things wonderful and amazing. So ZSides is the televised version of WordlitZine magazine. So what you are about to see is local fiction and poetry from Seattle's best and brightest tastemakers, troublemakers, and so much more. So today we have a very special guest, a rising star in Seattle's poetry scene, Mr. Kilam Tel Aviv. And let me tell you, if you do not know anything about him, you are about to. Let's take it away.
Good evening. My name is Kilam T.A., and this is my poem, Never Ours, out of my chapbook, 12th Man, Echoes of the Forgotten Race. So many lives lost over land that was never owned. But I guess this is our way. While others move with the tides, we press against nature as a sacrifice for convenience. Man confesses that they're under the guide of a higher power, but ignore the spirits in the soil beneath them. But I guess this is our way. We confuse infringement for help, disagreements for hatred, and pain for progress. But I guess this is our way. We vilify change in this name of this tyrannical democracy. We take from Mother Earth, afraid of Father Time, who is no father of mine, as my loved ones do not tick away at my life's freedoms. But I guess this is our way. We inspire violence for faith. But I guess this is our way. But I ask you, what if? What if we're going the wrong way? One day, I hope we change our way. Because after all, that truly is and always has been our way. Thank you.
All right, I am here with Kilam Tel Aviv. Love you, brother, so much. We are here to talk about your work, and I'm super, super excited because you read from 12th Man, Echoes of a Forgotten Race, which is one of your older collections, because you have another one that you're working on, right?
Correct.
All right, cool. So tell us about 12th Man, Echoes of a Forgotten Race.
So 12th Man, Echoes of the Forgotten Race addresses the gentrification and displacement happening in the Central District of Seattle. And the reason why I chose this topic was because, A, I'm from the Central District, duh. And also because I felt that there wasn't enough attention brought to the psychological and emotional damage that occurs when you forcibly remove people from their home. And I noticed all this change was going on, and when they think about it, they think more of it as a systematic change and an economic change, but they don't think about it on a people level. So what I did was I talked to different people from the community who are being forced out, and not just people of color, but also anybody who grew up in the Central District and now has no grocery store, or they got bought out of their home, but they can no longer, but the money that they receive from their home can't afford them to live in the same neighborhood right. as they originally were.
Because it's all gentrified and now everything's pricier.
And now everything's pricier, exactly. So it just became this weird dichotomy, and I felt that poetry was the perfect platform to express this because it combines emotion with information, and I feel like that's the key ingredients you need to develop understanding.
That's cool. So were you a poet before this, and this just kind of was sort of a conduit for you, or was this project sort of your way into poetry? Which came first, chicken or the egg?
So I forget which one's the egg or the chicken, but essentially it really started off with me actually start writing a novel. And it was called A Week with David. And I began doing my Googles and my education, and they said, well, you know, before you actually start a book, you should probably have an audience in mind. And I said, yeah. And they said, you should probably have a following. I was like, yeah. And all these things. They're like, I mean, you can write the book and you can finish it and it can sit on your shelf and that's awesome. But if you plan on selling it or anybody reading it, you gotta do these steps. And I said, okay, well, for me to put all this effort into a book and not have an audience to share it with, that doesn't make any sense. So I think I should start smaller. And I've always been a writer. I've always been drawn towards poetry. I feel it's very abstract, and that's the way my brain thinks. I don't think linearly, unfortunately. I'm very much all over the place. And I began going to places like Jai Thai on Wednesday nights, and they have a good writing community there and a good poetry community. And I began just kind of dabbling around, and I actually went to a class with the Washington State Poet Laureate, Claudia Castro Luna.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was just thinking about her because when you're talking about the birth of 12th Man, Echoes of a Forgotten Race, in my brain I was like, that's like Claudia, like people and place and information. So I can see you guys would definitely be buddies. You should do a reading together.
Oh my God,
Right.
no, I'm not following her.
No,
That's not fair.
No. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Claudia.
Actually, like, I would be following her. No, I'd be opening up for her. Like, let's be real about this. But no, I went to one of her classes and she really expanded my mind and really challenged me in the ways that I approach imagery. Because I felt that that was something that was lacking when I was writing my novel, is that I can tell something really well, but I can't really show it. And so she gave me all these tools and these things to read, and she introduced me to Ross Gay. And I just became enamored with poetry all of a sudden. And I found myself in a lot of writing communities, and I put everything that I was feeling into the 12th Man. And after I put it out, I started performing it all over Seattle. And I was getting somewhat of a reception from it. And I thought, okay, well, I should probably keep doing this because people are gravitating to what I'm talking about, which is great, not necessarily just from a monetary aspect, but just really from a, I don't feel alone. Like, I'm not the only one thinking these thoughts. And I think that's what's more important to me, because I feel that it's comforting when people come up to me after I perform or after a show and they say, you know what, I'm glad that you said what you said, because I've been thinking the same thing and I thought that I was crazy. And I always go to them like, you're not crazy. There are more people out there just like you, and you don't need to wait for me to say it. You need to say it as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that. I never knew your origin story.
That is my origin story.
Now I know. The
yes.
superhero now that is Kilam TA.
Yes.
Well, that's so cool. I definitely think, and one of the things we've been talking about a lot throughout ZSides in the show is just the idea of poetry, specifically poetry's place and creating a gap to understanding. And I think that this is totally the time to be talking about it. And I think poetry is in a lot of ways the conduit to be telling folks about it. But I want to know about your novel. Did you ever finish it, or is it still collecting dust?
Oh, the manuscript is done. It's a crap manuscript, but
it just needs a rewrite.
It needs a rewrite. It needs character development. One of the great things about Seattle is that it's got a great literary community. Mm-hmm. So the Seattle Public Library offers this program called Seattle Writes, where they host a different number of programs that help you with character development and building plot and all that good stuff. And when you go to those classes and then you come back to your manuscript, you're like, oh, I didn't do any of that. There is no character arc. It's just events happening.
But that's what they say. They always say you write with your heart and you edit with your brain,
mm-hmm.
right? So you've got all the little heart, you got the heart out. Now you just have to do the work of like, get your brain involved and do it. I'm a very similar way, because I'm working on my novel and I'm like, oh, this is probably crap. And it's like, no, you just gotta get it out.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta get it out. I believe in you. I already know it's going to be a great novel.
Thank you.
But in the meantime, you also have a new poetry collection, right?
Yes, it is called This Is Failing Gracefully. And the impetus behind that was that as a writer, you often find yourself submitting to a variety of different publications, and 99.9997% of the time, it often ends with a rejection.
Yes.
Right? And so it got me thinking about, why we do this. Like, why do we subject ourselves to this? Are we just masochists? Why are we constantly putting ourselves under this pressure of wanting to be accepted, right? Whether it be our work or our thoughts, whatever it may be. And I started to try to categorize my feelings, right? And I thought, okay, am I failing or am I trying? I don't know which one it is. And I thought, well, I can sit here in my room and I can drive myself crazy and try to debate all day, but I much prefer hearing other people's input. I am, contrary to popular belief, I don't enjoy the sound of my own voice, and I don't enjoy talking. So I rather give people prompts and tell them, and them tell me how they feel about it. And so what this collection of poetry is going to do is it's going to take a bunch of interviews. I selected 12 people, not randomly. It's people that I enjoy their work or I enjoy their conversation or whatever they may be. And I take their interviews and I match them to a poem that I submitted that was rejected, that also aligns with the prompt that I gave them. So for example, one of the prompts was, have you ever failed at being a parent? And I have a poem that talks about parenting and what you want for your kids. It's called Superheroes Wanted Now. And it speaks to a lot about what we wish we could tell our children that we don't necessarily display to them, right? It's like, I want you to be this. I want you to be better than me because I am so trash. I want you not to be trash because I'm trash. But I don't have kids of my own, so I need to talk to parents. And I thought, what do you fail at as a parent? And they have this long laundry list of things that they fail at as a parent, but they keep doing it and they keep trying. And I think that was the important part, is that no matter what you're failing at, no matter what you're attempting to do, you have to keep trying, because it's only when you stop trying that failure occurs.
So this project, is it audio visual? Is it just a chapbook? I mean, what form is this happening in? Because if we're hearing, are the stories that people shared, are they related to the work? Are they going to be showcased? Or is this purely an impetus for creating the chapbook?
So it started off as an impetus, and when I did do the interviews, I did tell everyone that I was not going to use the audio, so I still want to hold true to that because I don't believe in baiting and switching. So instead what I was going to do is I was going to take quotes and different excerpts from the interview and just transcribe them into the chapbook.
Ah, okay. Yeah. That's pretty awesome. And then so is there going to be like the rejection letter that you got is also going to be posted in there?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, I
love this so much.
Interestingly enough, I actually submitted the majority of the poems to this website. It's called allpoetry.com. And they have these little contests where you can get like a gold or silver or bronze. And then there's always the great honorable mention. And so the poems that I selected were the ones that got the honorable mention because I didn't know what that meant. And everyone kept saying, oh, you're so clever at your writing. And it became more and more insulting the more I heard it.
Yeah.
And so I basically took a lot from there. I took some from just different other publications that rejected me, and some of them didn't even have the courtesy to send me a letter. They just never got back to me. Or you go on Submittable and they're just like, not accepted. It's like, great,
right,
appreciate you.
Thank you. You know what rejection letter I hate?
What's that?
Is when you get the semi-personal and personal letter. So it's like, dear person, right? And then and like it's clear, but they just like put your name in, right? So it's like, dear Kilam, we appreciate you so much for submitting your poem. Unfortunately, it's not selected, but you are so brave. Keep writing. We believe in you. And you're like, no, you don't.
Obviously, you don't.
Like,
obviously.
Like, clearly, you don't. You rejected me. Like, don't soft let me down. Like, don't be like, you're so good. Like, oh, it's like this weird infantilizing feeling. And to be infantilized from a letter is a particular type of shame. I just feel like.
A little bit.
Not good.
But honestly, I just, at this point, when they mention my name in the rejection, I'm like, oh, thank you. Because it's even worse when it's like, dear applicant. And it's like, oh, awesome. I'm just a number to you. I appreciate it. I put my heart and soul into this.
Number 24601. The poem is about my wife left me on
exactly.
the
My
altar.
first goldfish. Damn it. His name was Frank.
Wait a minute. Did I tell you the story of my goldfish, Frank?
No, but my first goldfish name was Frank.
My first goldfish was named Frank. What?
Boom.
That is so weird.
Yes.
Oh, I like my brain kind of hurts right now. What year did you have Frank?
I had him in 7th grade, so that would have been 2001, 2002-ish.
Oh my God.
Did we have the same goldfish at the same time?
I think we did.
How did you kill yours?
No. Mine was after 8th grade, 9th grade.
Yes.
So we were doing an experiment with goldfish.
Arithmetic
we were taking their blood pressure. Mm-hmm. So we put all these little goldfish in all these different temperatures of water, and then we had to like put our hand around the goldfish and then see how fast it moved, which in hindsight is probably terrifying for the goldfish to just be put in different temperatures of water and then this giant
hand
claw. You don't even know what a hand is though, because you're a
True.
goldfish, and then this thing comes down and encases itself around you for a while and then leaves and never comes back. So weird. But anyway, so we did that experiment. My teacher was like, well, you can take your goldfish home after the experiment, so I did. So I had a goldfish, and that was his name.
Nice.
Yeah, and he was kind of pink, and he had a little dot on his head. So he was like a goldfish, but like a special one.
That's awesome.
That's pretty awesome. So tell me about your Frank goldfish.
My goldfish didn't have as great of an origin story as yours. Because I'm so scatterbrained. My dad thought, okay, well, if you are going to get a pet, we're going to give you a goldfish because it's really hard to kill a goldfish, is what he told me. And I was like, okay, Dad, I'll prove to you that I can take care of a goldfish. And so I was cleaning out his bowl one day, and you know, when you clean out the bowl, what you have to do is you have to transport the goldfish into another body of water so that way you can clean it out, right? But my young and often scatterbrained self put him in scalding hot water.
Oh my God, you cooked your goldfish!
So I boiled my goldfish. I put him in there. I was cleaning the bowl, routine, proving it to my father. And then I filled the bowl back up and I put him back in. And I just noticed that he just kind of floated to the top. and I was like, Frank? And I was like, what happened? And then as I'm pouring out the water that I transported him, you see the steam come out. And I was like, oh my God, I just boiled my own fish. And he just sat there and took it. And I am a terrible human being. And I think that when I get reincarnated, I'm going to be reincarnated as a goldfish. And I will die a terrible, horrific, and brutal death.
Okay, so I want to talk about some of the poetry and activism stuff you do, because we were hitting on that a little bit. Like that seems to be a core tenet of a lot of your work, is sharing information and emotion through poetry. So I know that you've been a part of some other projects in the past, Untold Stories, for example, where folks in King County have shared their personal experiences with racism, classism, and disrespect. And then those stories are submitted anonymously, and then they were read. There's dramatic adaptations for the stage later on. So tell me a little bit about that process, that project, and how you felt with that.
So initially when that project was given to me, I thought that I would just be reading a bunch of letters from disenfranchised, or not necessarily disenfranchised, but just angry former employees. And then it wasn't until I started reading them that I realized, oh no, it's this kind of party where these people were being oppressed, both racially or sexually or whatever it may be, and they were brave enough to share these stories. And I felt that I should really do that justice, right? Because in the words of Mr. Feeney, if you go out into the world without any ambition of changing the world, then you simply become a part of it, and then you accept all of its ill wills. And I never wanted to be that person. So I felt that it was necessary that if I could do that justice, if I could bring emotion and bring context to the information that people were receiving, and hopefully someone will take something away from that. In my writing and in my performances, whatever it may be, my goal is really just to change like one person's mind. It could be a sea of 1,000. If I get one person just to rethink how they thought about what I was speaking about, then I've done my job. And so when I got this project, I thought, okay, if one person in the room says, you know what, it's not okay, and if I see something happening, if I see something like this happening in the workplace, I will confront it, I will stand up, because it won't be until we all do that collectively that things will change.
It's almost like a standing ovation, right? So somebody gives a really great speech, And then everybody's kind of sitting there, and then one person stands up, and then and then a couple other people stand up, and then before you know it, everybody's eventually standing up.
Exactly.
I think it's the exact same concept, right? You don't have to change everybody's mind, but if you get one person, then eventually some other people will join, and some other people will join, and then you'll have a full-on standing ovation, like championing these thoughts. And I think that that's a key thing to think about in projects like these, right? If you walk in saying, I have to change everybody's mind, you're probably not going to. But if you just honestly tell a story, the people who are affected by it will be changed. And that's the meat and potatoes right there.
Exactly.
You know?
I mean, we're artists, right? We're here to challenge and buck the system. So if you're not challenging anything and you're just catering, what are you really doing? You're just adding to it, right? So yeah, just not for me. I like to be confrontational.
I know you like to be confrontational.
I am.
We've had many an air hockey game.
Which I won.
You
if
did
you
not
really
win.
think about
You did
it,
not
if you
win.
really think about it, and if you
crushed
go
you.
back to it, I won.
You mean you go back to it in your mind's eye that's fake?
If I go back to it in the reimagination of the events that occurred, I won.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It's my truth. It's my
It's your
truth.
truth.
It's
your
my
truth.
truth,
I'm
yes.
just saying. I won 5 out of the 7 games. I'm just saying, you decide who's the winner, ZSides. You decide who's the winner.
And that is your truth, and I will accept that. I will.
I always love spending time with you because I think you are the perfect dichotomy of like a Seattle artist who thinks about these things, but is also so lively and likes to have fun and likes to engage the world in multiple different facets. And I think that that is an incredibly good thing. So I'm giving you some praise right now.
Thank you.
What is next for you? What's next with your projects?
So what's next is I have to listen to all of the raw interviews, which I'm systematically doing. It's painful. Not painful like the interviews were bad, but it's painful in terms of you have to constantly listen and you have to find those quotes, right? And you have to find those excerpts where you go, okay, and then you have to compare them, which is always the hard part for me, right? Because I don't like comparing pains or passions, right? So if someone were to say something that really resonated with me, I'm like, oh, I felt that, but I also felt this as well. So now I have to say, which one did I feel more? And then once I do that, I have to go, okay, which one is my audience gonna feel more?
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's the key question.
Right, exactly. And so you constantly have to go through this updating and reimagining and revising of what you want to do. And I really want to do the people justice as well, because they were kind enough and honest enough to really, I asked a lot of deep stuff and a lot of intimate questions, and they were kind enough to grace me with a response. So I don't want to pick something that is just frivolous. I want something that really is impactful and really gets to the heart of the entire conversation. The conversations weren't about for 30 minutes, so I want something that encapsulates the entire interview, but also drives home the point of how they see failure and how they respond to it. Because one thing that I was able to take away was that failure and success are really brief moments.
I like that.
Right? They're not forever,
Yeah.
right? They're seconds, right? You get accepted, the success is in that second, as soon as you're accepted. But then 30 minutes later, it's gone. 5 minutes later, it's gone. But in the same turn, still it's failure. It happens in that moment, and the next moment, it's gone. And
Yeah.
the magic is in the pivot. It's how you receive that failure and what you do with it that really defines who you are.
I love that.
Yes.
We're going to end on that note right there, because it's. I feel like that's all that needs to be said about your outlook on life and the truth about your project. So do you have any idea when it's going to be done, or when can we see you do a show based off this? What's happening?
I'm thinking it's going to be spring/summer of 2019.
Make me wait that long?
I am. I have the interviews. I have to get an artist for the cover, and then putting it together, and then figuring out how I'm going to present it is going to be interesting.
Okay.
But if you want to know where you can find me, you can go to speakerthoughts.com. That's speakerthoughtsproperspelling.com, and you can find all of my upcoming performances and shows, and also my chapbook, 12th Man Echoes of the Forgotten Race.
Where can we find it again?
That is Speaker Thoughts. That's speakerthoughtsproperspelling.com.
I love that. Okay, so we always close the show with a new segment that I'm calling Hidden Talent or Nerdy Puzzle. So take your pick. Which one?
So I have a hidden talent.
Ooh, okay, hidden talent. What is it?
Oh, I thought I got all my giggles out. All right, so my hidden talent is that I always wanted to be a cartoon character, or at least a voice. No, that's true. I always wanted to be a cartoon character. But in reality, I realized I cannot do that, so I want to do a voiceover of a cartoon character.
Okay.
And the one that always came to my mind was a character named Thatchel. That's Thatchel.
Is it one that you made up, or is it like a famous one from
No,
a
it's one I
cartoon?
made up.
Is it really?
Yes, his name is Thatchel, and he has a particular voice. And that voice goes something like this. Hi guys, my name is Thatchel. Can I play wall ball with you guys? No, you won't let me play. Oh no, Mom, they won't let me play. Oh no. And that's it.
So fun fact, I am currently taking a voiceover class because I too have always wanted to be a cartoon. And so do you want to do a scene with me?
With me or with Thatchel?
Well, with Thatchel.
With Thatchel.
With Thatchel, okay.
Okay.
All right,
If we're going to improv, it's going to
This is going to be 100% improvised. We swear, Scouts honor, cross our hearts, hope to fry. We have not pre-planned this in any way. So,
like Frank Fried. I'm sorry.
okay, so pick a letter of the alphabet.
L.
Okay, L. Llama is our suggestion.
Llama.
Llama is our suggestion. Okay. All right, you start, Satchel.
I don't know what a llama is. Last time I saw a llama, it was in a cartoon. Can I have a llama?
Satchel,
What? I want a llama. Llama.
you always want a llama.
I
No, there are no more llamas left in this desert.
do. Llama.
Satchel.
Yeah?
We have to get it together. We have to go all the way to the oasis den. Then we can have all of the llamas because the llamas are there.
Llama for everyone?
Everyone can have a llama, but first we have to take down the evil King Gargamel.
Down with Gargamel.
Down with Gargamel.
So stupid. Yay!
That was amazing.
Yay, we did it! All
Ah.
right, voiceover,
Screw
cartoons, boosh, checked off, bucket list. We can both die happy now.
We can.
Okay.
We can. As long as they put this cartoon together, I'm all for it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of ZSides. Please give it up for Kilam, Tel Aviv, and Satchel. Yay!
Yay!
Yay.
What do we talked about this. I know you're just watching it on your phone, but still, we have to give them a round of applause. Yay! All right.
I just clapped for myself. I'm sorry.
You should clap for yourself. That was a good job. All right, so this is Kilam, Tel Aviv, but we have so many other people at ZSides. We encourage you to check us out and see more episodes if you haven't already. We have Washington State Poet Laureate Claudia Castro Luna. We have Anastasia Renee, Seattle Civic Poet. We have Francis McHugh. We have Rob Arnold. The list goes on and on and on and on. And you know what? I'm always there. Ding. I am your faithful host, Jakiva Phillips, reminding you to keep reading, keep writing, and buy some damn books. All right, we'll see you next time, guys. Bye.